The secret project commander Sarah Chun floated through the maintenance corridors of Titan Station, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor with each step. The hidden facility orbited deep in the outer rim of the Sol system, where no alien patrol would ever think to look. Through the reinforced windows, she could see the massive shape taking form in the construction bay. The used Prometheus was unlike anything humanity had ever built before. The station buzzed with activity as thousands of workers assembled the Forbidden's weapon in complete secrecy. Welding sparks flew like tiny stars as engineers installed armor, plating that could withstand the heat of dying suns. The air recyclers worked overtime to clear the metallic taste that filled every breath. This was humanity's greatest gamble, and everyone knew it. Dr. Marcus Webb met Chun at the observation deck, his tired eyes reflecting the glow of the construction lights below. The chief weapons designer had barely slept in months, driven by the knowledge that their entire species might depend on his work. In his hands, he carried a data tablet containing readings that would have terrified any sane person. "Commander, the quantum resonance chambers are finally stable," Webb reported, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. "The alien technology we found on Kepler 442b is beyond anything we ever imagined. These weapons don't just destroy matter, they can unravel the very fabric of reality itself." Chun studied the energy readings on the tablet. The numbers were staggering. The Prometheus could generate power equivalent to a small star and focus it into beams that could pierce through multiple dimensions simultaneously. It was the kind of weapon that had been banned throughout the galaxy for good reason. The discovery had happened 3 years ago, when human explorers found the ruins of an ancient civilization on a dead world. The aliens had wiped themselves out, experimenting with reality-warping technology, but their research data survived in quantum storage crystals. Earth scientists had spent years trying to understand the alien mathematics, and now they were about to unleash forces that had destroyed their creators. "Doctor, are you absolutely certain the containment systems will hold?" Chun asked, knowing that a single miscalculation could tear a hole in space that might never close. Webb nodded grimly. "The Athenia artificial intelligence has run millions of simulations. The weapon systems are as safe as we can make them. But, Commander, we're playing with fundamental forces that we barely comprehend. Every time we test-fire the main cannon, space itself bends around the beam path." They walked together toward the command center, where Admiral Elena Vasquez was waiting with other Earth Defense Force leaders. The briefing room was lined with signal-blocking materials that could prevent any transmission from leaving the station. What they discussed here could never be discovered by the Galactic Council. Admiral Vasquez stood at the head of the conference table, her uniform bearing the scars of battles fought against impossible odds. Beside her sat Ambassador David Park, whose diplomatic reports painted a grim picture of humanity's situation in the galaxy. The Kalar Dominion was preparing for war, and Earth's conventional forces wouldn't stand a chance. "Ladies and gentlemen," Vasquez began, her voice carrying the weight of command, "we all know why we're here. The Kalar Dominion has been conquering worlds for centuries, and intelligence reports confirm they're planning to attack our colonies within months. Their bioships can regenerate from any damage, and their plasma weapons can melt through our strongest armor." Ambassador Park activated a holographic display showing the Kalar fleet movements. The images were terrifying to behold. Organic ships that looked like massive sea creatures swam through space, their hulls pulsing with alien life. Each vessel was a living weapon that could adapt to any threat. "The Dominion has destroyed 12 species in the past century," Park explained, his diplomatic training barely concealing his fear. "They don't negotiate, they don't take prisoners, and they never retreat. Our conventional weapons are useless against the regenerating bioarmor." Captain Ryan Torres, who had commanded the Prometheus when it launched, spoke up from across the table. "Admiral, what about the Galactic Council? Surely they won't allow the Kalar to attack a member species." Vasquez's expression darkened. "The Council is paralyzed by bureaucracy and politics. They've been debating the Kalar threat for years while entire civilizations burned. By the time they decide to act, humanity will be extinct." Dr. Webb shifted uncomfortably in his chair. As the creator of the forbidden weapons, he felt the weight of moral responsibility. "Admiral, I need to remind everyone that using reality warping technology violates the Treaty of Andromeda. Every species in the galaxy agreed to ban these weapons after the Zephyrian War almost destroyed the Milky Way. The Zephyrians nearly tore apart space itself with their experiments," added Chief Engineer Lisa Park, who had been quietly reviewing system diagnostics. "Their reality bombs created permanent tears in the fabric of the universe. Some of those dimensional rifts are still expanding after 500 years. Admiral Vasquez looked around the room at each person present. These were some of the finest minds in the Earth Defense Force, and they all understood the terrible choice before them. Use the forbidden weapon and become outcasts in the galaxy, or watch humanity face extinction. The colonies on New Athens and New Merlin have 40 million people," Vasquez said quietly. "They're farmers, teachers, children who've never seen war. The Kalar will consume them all if we don't act. Sometimes survival requires making choices that others will call evil." The room fell silent except for the distant hum of the station's life support systems. Everyone present knew they were about to cross a line that could never be uncrossed. The Prometheus would save humanity, but it would also make them the most feared and hated species in the galaxy. "Commander." Chun stood up and walked to the window overlooking the construction bay. The Prometheus floated below them like a sleeping giant, its hull gleaming with alien metal that seemed to absorb light itself. The ship was 5 kilometers long and armed with weapons that could reshape reality. "The Athena artificial intelligence has been analyzing Kalar battle tactics," Chen reported, turning back to face the group. "It believes the Prometheus can defeat their entire invasion fleet, but the psychological impact on the galaxy will be enormous. We'll be seen as the species that brought back the forbidden weapons." Ambassador Park checked his secure communicator. "Commander, we're running out of time. Intelligence sources report that the Kalar fleet is already moving toward the outer colonies. They could attack within weeks." Admiral Vasquez stood up and made the decision that would change humanity's fate forever. "I'm authorizing the completion of the Prometheus. Commander Chun, you'll oversee the final preparations. Captain Torres, you'll take command of the ship. But understand this, everyone? Once we deploy this weapon, there's no going back. We'll be alone in the galaxy." The weight of command settled on Chun's shoulders like a heavy cloak. She was about to become responsible for the most powerful and most illegal warship in galactic history. The Prometheus would either save humanity or damn them all. 2 weeks later, the final systems came online. The Athena artificial intelligence performed its first complete diagnostic of the ship's reality warping weapons. The results were both magnificent and terrifying. The Prometheus could generate quantum fields that would allow it to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making it nearly impossible to destroy. "Commander, all weapon systems are operational," reported Chief Torres from the captain's chair. "The quantum cascade torpedoes are loaded, and the dimensional phase cannons are charging. Athena reports that she can target enemy ships across multiple realities at once." Chun nodded grimly. The artificial intelligence had evolved beyond its original programming, becoming something that understood warfare in ways no human mind could comprehend. Athena could predict enemy movements, calculate the probability of victory, and optimize weapon efficiency to devastating effect. The first test firing happened in an empty region of space far from any inhabited systems. When the Prometheus fired its main cannon, the beam tore through reality itself, creating a wound in space that glowed with impossible colors. The target asteroid didn't just explode, it ceased to exist across all dimensions simultaneously. "Dear God," whispered Dr. Webb as he watched the readings, "we've built something that can edit reality itself." The Prometheus was ready for war, but the galaxy was not ready for the Prometheus. Humanity had created a weapon that would change the balance of power forever, and soon every species in the galaxy would know that the banned technology had returned to threaten them all. As alarms began sounding throughout the station, Chun realized that the moment of truth had arrived. The Kalar Dominion was attacking, and humanity's secret weapon was about to be unleashed upon an unsuspecting galaxy. The Galactic reckoning, the emergency klaxons screamed through Earth's defense. Command as reports flooded in from the outer colonies. Commander Sarah Chun stood in the war room, watching displays that showed the nightmare she had always feared. The Kalar Dominion had launched a massive invasion force, and their bioships were already attacking human settlements across 3 star systems. "New Athens is under siege," reported Intelligence Officer James Morrison, his voice strained with the weight of terrible news. The Kalar launched their attack at 0300 hours. 37 bioships are surrounding the planet, and they're using some kind of acidic bombardment that's eating through the planetary shields. Admiral Lena Vasquez stared at the tactical displays with grim determination. The Kalar fleet was even larger than intelligence had predicted. Each organic warship was a living nightmare, its hull pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to hypnotize their prey. The aliens had perfected the art of biological warfare over centuries of conquest. "What's the status of our defense fleet?" Vasquez asked, though she already knew the answer would be devastating. "Admiral, we've lost contact with the U.E.'s Defiant and the U's Guardian," Morrison replied. "The Kalar bioweapons are dissolving our ship's hulls faster than the damage control teams can repair them. Conventional weapons are completely ineffective against their regenerating armor." On the planet's surface, Governor Patricia Wells was evacuating civilians to underground bunkers, while Kalar landing pods fell from the sky like organic meteors. The aliens inside weren't just soldiers. They were predators evolved for the sole purpose of consuming other species. Their chittering voices could be heard through the communication systems as they hunted human colonists through the burning cities. "All civilian transports are away from the capital," Wells reported over the emergency channel. "But Admiral, these creatures are unlike anything we've ever faced. They're not just trying to conquer us. They're trying to consume us. They're taking live prisoners for reasons I don't want to imagine." The situation was desperate, and everyone in the command center knew it. Earth's conventional forces were designed to fight other humanoid species using recognizable technology. The Kalar bioships operated on principles that human science barely understood, making them nearly impossible to defeat with traditional weapons. Captain Ryan Torres contacted the war room from the bridge of the Prometheus, which was hidden in the asteroid belt awaiting orders. "Admiral, the Athena AI has been analyzing the Kalar fleet movements. It believes we can end this invasion with a single strike, but the consequences will be severe." Vasquez looked around the room at her advisors. Ambassador David Park was pale with the knowledge of what deployment would mean for humanity's galactic standing. Dr. Marcus Webb was running final calculations on the reality-warping weapons, his hands shaking with the magnitude of what they were about to unleash. "Captain Torres, what's a THENA's tactical assessment?" Vasquez asked, knowing that the artificial intelligence could process battle data far beyond human capability. "The AI has identified the Kalar command structure," Torres replied. "They're using a biological hive mind to coordinate their fleet. If we can disrupt their queenship with a quantum cascade torpedo, the entire invasion force will collapse into chaos. The plan was elegantly simple and terrifyingly effective. The Prometheus would use its reality-warping weapons to attack the Kalar across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The aliens' biological defenses, which had made them invincible against conventional weapons, would be useless against attacks that struck from parallel realities. Admiral, I need to remind you that deploying the Prometheus will violate every treaty humanity has signed, Ambassador Park said desperately. The Galactic Council will expel us immediately. We'll be completely isolated from all other species. And if we don't deploy it, the Kalar will wipe out every human colony, Vasquez replied. Ambassador, would you rather have humanity survive as outcasts or die as law-abiding citizens? The moral weight of the decision hung heavy in the room. Everyone present understood that they were about to fundamentally change humanity's relationship with the galaxy. The Prometheus would save millions of lives, but it would also mark humans as the species that had brought back the Forbidden's weapons. Admiral, this is Governor Wells, came the desperate transmission from New Athens. The Kalar have broken through our last defensive line. They're entering the civilian shelters. If help doesn't arrive within the hour, there won't be anyone left to save. Vasquez made the decision that would echo through galactic history. Captain Torres, you are authorized to deploy the Prometheus. Save our people, whatever the cost. The Prometheus dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Athens system, like a metal leviathan emerging from the depths of space. The ship's hull gleamed with alien materials that seemed to bend light. Around them, radiating an almost supernatural appearance. As it moved toward the battle, space itself seemed to ripple in its wake. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Kalar Fleet Commander, reported Communications Officer Sarah Kim. The alien's bio-neural interface is translating their message. The main screen showed a nightmare creature that was part insect, part sea anemone, and entirely predatory. The Kalar commander's voice was like the sound of grinding bones mixed with the hiss of acid eating through metal. Human vessel, you have entered a feeding ground claimed by the Dominion. Your species has been selected for consumption. Surrender. Now, and your death will be swift. Resist, and we will devour you slowly while you still live. Captain Torres stepped forward to face the alien horror. This is Captain Torres of the Earth Defense Force. You are attacking innocent civilians. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. The Kalar commander made a sound that might have been laughter. One ship against the might of the Dominion? Your weapons cannot harm our living vessels. We have consumed 1,000 species with technology, far superior to yours. You will be nothing but another meal. We'll see about that, Torres replied, then cut the transmission. Athena, you are authorized to engage all targets. Show them what humanity is capable of. The artificial intelligences. Response was immediate and devastating. The Prometheus fired its first quantum cascade torpedo, which didn't travel through normal space, but instead moved through the quantum foam that underlies reality itself. When it struck the Kalar Queen ship, the massive biovessel simply ceased to exist across all dimensions simultaneously. The effect on the Kalar fleet was immediate and catastrophic. Without their queen's controlling influence, the bioships began attacking each other in confusion. Their perfectly coordinated invasion dissolved into chaos as individual vessels reverted to their basic predatory instincts. Captain, the Dimensional. Phase cannons are locked onto multiple targets, reported Weapons Officer David Chun. Athena is calculating firing solutions that will hit the enemy ships across 17 different realities. The Prometheus unleashed its full arsenal, and the results were unlike anything ever seen in galactic warfare. Energy beams that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously struck the Kalar bioships, bypassing their regenerative defenses entirely. The organic vessels couldn't adapt to attacks that came from parallel universes. Within minutes, The entire Collar invasion force was either destroyed or fleeing in terror. The aliens who had conquered dozens of worlds and devoured entire species were running from a single human ship. The Prometheus had achieved a victory that would have been impossible for any conventional fleet, but the victory came at a price that would reshape the galaxy forever. The quantum weapons had created ripples in space-time that were detected by every advanced civilization within 100 light years. The Forbidden's technology had returned, and it was in human hands. On the planet below, Governor Wells watched the alien fleet retreat in amazement. "Admiral, I don't know what kind of ship that is, but it just saved 40 million lives. The Kalar are running like scared animals." The celebration was short-lived. Within hours, emergency sessions were being called in the Galactic Council. The Zephyrian Collective, whose crystalline forms could exist in multiple dimensions, had detected the quantum disturbances immediately. Their representatives were the first to demand an explanation. "The humans have deployed reality-warping weapons," announced Ambassador Zara 7, her crystalline voice resonating with harmonics that conveyed deep concern. "We felt the dimensional tears from our homeworld. These are the same weapons that nearly destroyed our galaxy 5 centuries ago." The Thorak Republic, a warrior species that had always respected human fighting spirit, was shocked by the revelation. If the humans possessed such weapons, they could conquer every species in the galaxy, declared war leader Thekmor. "We must act before they use this technology against us." The Velani Federation, whose aquatic representatives were known for their diplomatic wisdom, called for immediate sanctions. "Humanity must surrender these weapons for destruction," stated Prime Minister Aquaville. "No single species can be trusted with the power to reshape reality." Ambassador Park found himself standing alone in the council chambers, facing the angry representatives of 47 different species. The diplomatic isolation was complete and absolute. Humanity had saved itself, but in doing so, had become the most feared species in the galaxy. "Honored delegates," Park began, his voice steady despite the hostile atmosphere. "Humanity deployed these weapons only in self-defense. The Kalar Dominion was committing genocide against our people. Would you have us stand by and watch our species die to preserve galactic law?" The response was immediate and unforgiving. The Andromedan Collective, humanity's oldest allies, spoke with voices filled with disappointment. "The law exists to protect all species from the horror of reality warfare. By breaking it, humans have endangered every living being in the galaxy." The vote was swift and decisive. 46 species voted to expel humanity from the Galactic Council. Only the Andromedans abstained, and even they severed diplomatic relations. All trade agreements were canceled, and any species that aided humanity would face similar punishment. Back on Earth, Admiral Vasquez addressed the world with the news that would define humanity's future. "My fellow humans, we have saved our colonies and defeated the Kalar Dominion. But the price of victory is isolation. We stand alone in the galaxy, armed with weapons that others fear, protected by technology that others despise." The Prometheus returned to Earth as both humanity's greatest triumph and its greatest burden. The ship that had saved the species was also the reason they now faced the galaxy alone. But as Commander Chun looked out at the stars from the bridge of their Forbidden's weapon, she knew they had made the right choice. Humanity would survive, even if it meant standing against the entire galaxy. The Prometheus was proof that humans would never surrender, never back down, and never stop fighting for their right to exist. They had become the most feared species in the galaxy, and perhaps that was exactly what they needed to be. The age of humanity's innocence was over. The age of human dominance had begun. Asterisk.